you saw Omawumi on Instagram, you would swear she was the daughter of a billionaire who made his money in offshore oil and gas. Her handle was at Oma_the_Rose, and her bio was a manifesto for the delusional generation. Soft life only, allergic to 9-to-5 stress, lifestyle architect. If it's not expensive, I don't want it. Omawumi was 23, but she had the entitlement of a woman who had seen 7 reincarnations as a queen. She lived in a tiny face-me-I-face-you apartment in Yaba, but her content was strictly Lekki Phase 1. She would borrow her friend's Zara bags, go to expensive cafes, order only a bottle of water, and take 400 photos with different angles. She had 52,000 followers who genuinely believed she spent her mornings sipping mimosas and her afternoons unboxing PR packages. The truth was that Omawumi's bank account was currently screaming in a pitch only dogs could hear. She was 200,000 naira in debt to a Lapo loan app that had started sending messages to her contacts calling her a chronic debtor. Omawumi's life had been held together with scotch tape and the patience of one man, Segun. Segun was an architect who worked 12 hours a day. For a year, he had been the silent executive producer of Oma_the_Rose. He paid for the wigs, the Uber rides to Lekki cafes, and the data she used to post "Get Ready With Me" videos. The end came on a Tuesday. Omawumi had asked for 150,000 naira for a content creation retreat at a boutique hotel. "Omawumi, I'm tired," Segun had said, his voice flat. "I'm working for a future and you are working for a feed. You don't have a job, you don't have a degree, and you don't even have a plan. You are not a lifestyle architect, Omawumi. You are a squatter with a ring light." "You are just intimidated by my vibration," she had screamed. "I am manifesting greatness." "Manifest a new boyfriend," Segun required, because this ATM is out of service. With Segun gone, the soft life turned rock hard. Within 3 weeks, Omawumi was back in her tiny face-me-I-face-you apartment in Yaba. Desperate to keep up appearances, she did the one thing she promised she'd never do. She downloaded a Lapo loan app. She took 50,000 naira to pay for a photo shoot to prove she was thriving post-breakup. Then 30,000 naira for a new lace frontal. The interest rates were predatory, and when she couldn't pay, she had to look for a job, but not just any job. She had no degree, as her parents could not afford to send her to university. She saw a vacancy for a cleaner at the bank. She couldn't work there. The uniform would ruin her aesthetic. She couldn't work in a store. She wasn't built for standing. Then she saw an ad for a luxury residential assistant in Ikoyi. The salary was 150,000 naira a month with full boarding. "Luxury residential assistant," Omawumi whispered, her 3-inch stiletto nails clicking against her phone screen. "Basically, I'll just be managing a mansion, taking photos in the garden, and maybe supervising the people who actually do the work. This is the soft life entry-level position I've been waiting for." She packed 3 suitcases, mostly containing ring lights, skincare serums, and body outfits. She arrived at the Ikoyi mansion in a boat, wearing a silk cord set and oversized sunglasses that cost more than her rent. Then she met Mrs. Ademie. Mrs. Ademie was a woman built like a pillar of salt, solid, unmoving, and very salty. She was 60 years old money from the era where wealth was hidden in land and silent dignity, not in TikTok dances. She looked Omawumi up and down, her eyes lingering on the girl's chrome pink nails. "You are the girl from the agency?" Mrs. Ademie asked, her voice like sandpaper on velvet. "Yes, ma. My name is Omawumi, but my brand name is Oma_the_Rose. I'm here for the luxury residential assistant role." Mrs. Ademie's lip curled. "In this house, we call it a housemaid. And that rose you are carrying, we are going to prune it." The reset began at 5 a.m. the next morning. Omawumi was dreaming of a brand deal with a luxury wig company when her door flew open. There was no Alexa play morning jazz. There was only Mrs. Ademie standing there with a bucket of cold water and a hard bristle brush. "Stand up, the compound is not going to sweep itself." Omawumi rubbed her eyes, her silk bonnet lopsided. "Ma, my contract says residential management. I usually do my morning routine, skincare and journaling until 9 a.m. It's for my mental health." Mrs. Ademie laughed. It wasn't a nice laugh. It was the laugh of a woman who had survived the Nigerian civil war and 3 currency devaluations. Your mental health? My friend, stand up before I show you mental instability. You see those nails? If they are still on your fingers by 6 a.m., you will use them to scrape the grease off the kitchen pots. Choose wisely. By 7 a.m., Omaomi was in the backyard staring at a traditional broom. She was holding it with 2 fingers like it was a hazardous biological waste. I don't understand, Omaomi sobbed quietly, filming a video with her left hand while her right hand touched the broom. POV, you are in your humble beginnings era. The universe is testing my manifestation. Mrs. Ademie appeared from nowhere, snatching the phone. In this house, phones are for people who have finished their work. This is now in my custody. If I see you doing POV instead of POTs, I will send you back to Yaba. The first week was a massacre. Omaomi's soft life energy was met with Mrs. Ademie's hard reset frequency. Omaomi tried to cook pasta, but she wanted to make it aesthetic with truffle oil she'd sneaked in. Mrs. Ademie made her pour it away and pound yam. Ma, my joints! Pounding yam is a human rights violation, Omaomi wailed, the mortar and pestle sounding like a drum of doom. Pound, Mrs. Ademie backed. The rhythm will teach you discipline. You think life is just filters and ring lights? If the internet goes down tomorrow, who are you? A girl who can't even feed herself? One afternoon, while Omaomi was cleaning the master suite, her back aching, her nails long since clipped short by Mrs. Ademie's own hand, she saw it. It was a dress. Not just any dress. It was a custom-made Komole lace masterpiece by a legendary Nigerian designer. It shimmered with hand-stitched Swarovski crystals, the color of a sunset over the Atlantic. It was the kind of dress Omaomi had only seen on the red carpet at the MVCs. It was worth at least 1.5 million naira. Omaomi froze. Her breath hitched. She imagined herself in that dress, standing on a grand staircase, the flashbulbs of 1,000 cameras hitting those crystals. In that moment, her delusion transformed into a genuine dream. She didn't just want to look like she had a soft life. She wanted to be the kind of woman who earned a dress like that. That dress cost more than your father's village house, Mrs. Ademie's voice came from the doorway. Omaomi didn't jump. She just whispered, "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, Ma." Beauty is earned, not borrowed for a photo. From that day, something shifted deep within Omaomi. It was as if the ancient Harry spirit from those old folk tales, those tales her grandmother whispered about resilient women who turned ashes into empires, had awakened in her Gen Z veins. No more whining about her aching back after scrubbing floors. No more dramatic sighs when Mrs. Ademie backed orders. Instead, Omaomi set her alarm for 4:45 a.m., slipping out of bed before the roosters crowed in Ikoyi. She'd beat Mrs. Ademie to the front door, broom in hand, sweeping the compound with a quiet determination that made the older woman pause in the hallway, one eyebrow arched in silent approval. Her mornings became a ritual of grit. She'd fetch water from the borehole, her muscles burning as she balanced bucket on her head, just like the market women in Yaba. But Omaomi didn't complain. She hummed old Yoruba songs under her breath, turning the chore into a dance. By 6 a.m., she'd be in the kitchen, chopping bitter leaves with precision, washing them 7 times to draw out the bitterness, then simmering them with stockfish, crayfish, and a dash of locust beans. The first time the aunties visited, those fierce, no-nonsense women from the village, with their starched wrappers and judgmental eyes, they took 1 spoon of her bitter leaf soup and froze. "Who cooked this?" Auntie Bose demanded, her gold teeth glinting as she licked her lips. "This one tastes like home, not that watery nonsense from these Lagos girls." Omaomi peeked from the doorway, wiping sweat from her brow. Mrs. Ademie glanced at her, then said flatly, "My assistant, she's learning." The aunties nodded, murmuring praises. That's how it should be, not all this Instagram nonsense. Omaomi's chest swelled, not with likes or comments, but with real pride. For the first time, she felt seen, not as a filter-enhanced fantasy, but as a woman who could create something tangible. She started pinching every kobo from her 150,000 naira salary. No more scrolling through Shein for dupe lip gloss or fake Fenty highlighters. Instead, she trekked to the local market in the sweltering Lagos heat, haggling fiercely over tomatoes and onions.